Hi, folks, this is Gargi Singh from ContactPoint 360, and today we are here to talk about how tough times bring out the best in us. And we saw a lot of the best leadership when COVID hit last year. But what goes on in the heart and mind of a team leader before they bring out the best to the forefront? What are the experiences, learnings, personality traits that they draw power from to calmly lead the team through tumultuous times? Let's go behind the calm scenes with Elizabeth Sedlacek, VP, Client Relations and Partnerships at ContactPoint 360, to answer some of these questions. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Gargi. And I'm so happy to be part of this discussion, especially if it's going to help in the future leaders to understand what it takes to really dig deep to successfully drive a team, especially in the worst of times. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming, Liz. Now, if I understand correctly, when COVID hit in March 2020, the company was on the verge of expanding into new markets, and you just hired new members on the sales team, and then COVID hit. What went through you, I want to know, as a human being to sort of witness the change that COVID brought while being responsible for leading all these new hires that you just had?
Right. Yes. So the team was in an infancy stage. We were 3 weeks old and we were based out of various places across the country. And neither of us as members had even met each other yet. So there was really no familiarity, no cohesion at all. And we were so excited. We had planned an office meetup and boom, COVID hit. We had to cancel. So, my first thought was, oh my God, I was afraid. It was all new for us. And, I thought, now what? What am I going to do? I had to lead the team to success when I have feelings of fear of the unknown. And how am I going to do that? How am I going to lead by example when I had all of these apprehension? So, for me, the pandemic was really a reality check as a leader. And as we were all forced to reckon with the blur between work and personal responsibilities, I had to lead the team despite the challenges.
That is true, and that is very interesting. Well, you say you were afraid in when the pandemic hit, and that's something that's very real, right? You cannot not be afraid in such a situation. You cannot not be apprehensive in such a situation. But then many times it comes down to who you are as a person that helps you through such times. And what are some of those, values within you which helped you in this situation?
Um, I think there's a couple that really stood out during, the first part of the pandemic, and that was, empathy and trying to put myself in their shoes. I mean, they're brand new employees. And, we're in a BPO, very complex world that we navigate through. There's high expectations. So one of the first questions to myself was, this pandemic has impacted an employee experience, and am I going to meet their needs in this virtual world of work? So, my first thought to that was I had to ensure that I was providing support and to reassure the team that there was flexibility in their workday and to be very transparent. I was very transparent and clear that I too was scared. I didn't have all the answers, but again, by providing some open and honest personal feedback to the team, they really appreciated that. We got to know each other fairly quickly, virtually. The other value would be it's all about clarity. I was very clear. I did not want to muddy the waters at all. So, I really pulled together a very tight process so that each of the team members really understood and could navigate, their responsibilities, considering we were not together. The other thing is support, making sure that they were all supported in the process and they knew that they could count on me at any time.
That's insightful, Liz. And it's kind of sad that the pandemic had to bring, this into the corporate world But it is also great that it finally did. I mean, COVID really shed the corporate formal image in all of us to sort of bring out a humane angle of how we interact with our employees and our colleagues, right? I mean, we're when we're in leadership roles, we are expected to show strength, and we're expected to not show any weaknesses or not show any fear or not show and hide situations or data or information from people,
Yeah.
etc.
Yep.
It's yeah, and that's just the corporate, like the usual corporate communication. And COVID really, like, it required us to bond on a very different, on a much deeper level to get things done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And when you go into into deeper levels of bonding, empathy, understanding, transparency, clarity, support. I mean, these are strong values for any relationship that you want to have in your life.
And I would like to add, Gargi, it's also pulling all of those values together. It's about trust too, and building relationships, especially in a turbulent time like this. So whether it was at home with colleagues and and even our clients, companies that upheld the trust of their customers, and whether that even be through a consistent approach, communication, products that even help fight COVID, really earned the respect and loyalty of people. And a global lockdown, was not really part of most disaster recovery plans in companies. And making that shift was tough, very, very tough. Yeah,
That is commendable, Liz. And these were anxious times at individual and organizational levels. Speaking of which, anxiety is something that is so common, especially in these times. And there are programs to deal with anxiety, and governments, especially in Canada, are reaching out to people with sort of free services to help them deal with their anxiety. It'll be interesting to know how you managed your own and the team's anxiety during this time. I mean, it was just not your anxiety, but three other people's anxieties that you must have had to manage.
yeah, absolutely. And, the first thing is, like I was saying, I was, again, somewhat panic stricken as well. And I had to find an outlet to clear my head and just to get some personal space because I was locked up in my house. I had my family. I have a very old dog. And so I had to figure, what's a good way for me to get that space. And so I started walking every day faithfully. And it didn't matter what the weather was like. I bundled up, I went outside, and I started to really look forward to these daily walks. And it really helped me clear my head, especially at the start of the pandemic. A lot going through my mind and how do I steer this ship and keep on track when we have, to change the way we approach our sales efforts. And the more and more I started walking, I really came up with the process on more of a team selling approach rather than each individual having their own sales accountabilities. And so we worked together as a team, and it was the best shift and change in our business structure that we could have ever done in a very turbulent time. And one of the things I think I should draw upon is just in my own life experience, and that is, I'm very grateful to have come from a family where both my parents were actually very empathetic. They never judge people, and they always put their children first. And I really took their style of a servant leadership approach, and I've been there for my team every step of the way. I help them in any way I can. If there is frustration, they can pick the phone up, they can call me at any time, and I'm always there to ask how I can help. I didn't involve my team as well in operations, and I was focused on training and leading them where I could make a difference. But I sort of, I guess, what I would call shielding them away from operational procedures and approaches so that they could really focus on their sales efforts. If there's one thing that I would take away from this is, being raised in the type of environment that I was raised in, it was a lesson that had me focusing more on helping every member of the team and feel that they can be their self every day at work, whether it's virtual or on site, it doesn't matter.
I have to say that that is wonderful, Liz. And thank you so much for sharing all those insights with us today. And I'm sure that it will help other leaders and future leaders, because typically it's an environment where you pit yourself against other people, or other people are in competition with, especially in sales. I mean, that's such a competitive landscape. And for
Yeah.
you to yeah, and for you to totally like surpass that sort of default mechanism in a sales environment and create a collective team sales environment, where you're not necessarily competing with each other at a cutthroat competition to get the next client. I mean, achieving that cohesion within a sales team, especially in tough times, especially when everybody's not even together and they're all virtual, is a commendable task that you've done. And thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. And again, I just wanted to say how proud I am of the team, and how they really embraced the team-based selling approach, and how successful all three team members have been. They have all delivered in a pandemic, and they're thriving. So hats off to the team. They're just doing so well. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Okay, have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye now.
And that was Elizabeth Sedlacek with us for Contact Point 360.